November 7th, 2025, a few days before
Yes,
the big ISSA show in Vegas.
it's crazy. It's already like, what is it, the second week in November? So it's good to see everybody. And man, like I'm just like, what it was like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks away from Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I mean, come
no,
on.
the whole year is about to be wrapped up. So, yeah, it's crazy. And 2026 just seems like it shouldn't be here, but it is here. But
Yeah.
here's the scary part we talked about a little bit before the show, but we are headed to Vegas to the show, the big ISSA
Yeah.
show. But flights are going to be all over the board. So I'm interested to see the impact of the flights. I think you're going to see some angry, mean people in the airport in the next few days. That's what I
Yeah.
see.
I literally envision myself getting on a plane and never getting to Vegas. Get to a plane like because I'm going through Charlotte, and I'm like, I could just see myself sitting in the Terminal E with people all over the place waiting on a flight, and it just not happening. But hopefully it will. Hopefully it will. But man, it's
I think. Let's see. What is it? Was it again? My memory is fading on this one, but I think 9/11 occurred sometime around the time frame of one of the ISSA shows or some big trade show somewhere, some in the West in Vegas. And I remember when they shut down the airport, I think a lot of people from the East Coast that I'd met and did business with had to drive back. And a lot of them couldn't get rental cars. So all of a sudden you see these people who were competitors or they were not really necessarily friends, but they had lived in the same town where you could jump in the same car and making a road trip across the country. So we maybe ended up planes, trains, and automobiles making friends that we don't expect that we're going to make. So anyway,
Jack, if we got to drive back from Vegas to the East Coast, like I'll drive with you, but I don't know. There's some people I might be like, ah. I had a friend who I just was going to tell you this, but I had a friend who Thursday, I would say it's Friday, a Wednesday, flew from here to Charlotte, was going to Nashville for a meeting, got to Charlotte, and they kept canceling his plane. And it was like he got to Charlotte like 9 in the morning, and he had a 2 o'clock, 2:30 meeting. They canceled this flight three times in a row. So at 11, he got in a Uber and paid for an Uber to drive him 4.5 hours or 4 hours, and it was like
I feel more sorry about the Uber driver because he's got to come back now. So
the guy was like,
that's crazy. All right, make sure to like, subscribe if you see some value here. If you got to watch through the whole episode, if you can throw it on, let it play. There is some gems within our conversations here. We are, Jerry. I'm excited. We're kicking off our growth kind of live program. We're doing after this call. We're doing an hour coaching with companies that are below $1 million and really kind of going through their opportunities, their issues, their challenges, and really helping them break that down. That is a $49 cost for that per month. And we jump on for an hour and we just take a deep dive. I think for you and I to do this, I think it's a great value for whoever's doing it. We've got a couple people signed up so far, so I'm looking forward to meeting those. We got others who have committed. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Jerry and I, Jerry at getroute.com or Jack at getroute.com. Be happy to push you in that direction.
Yeah, and if you might be listening to the show today and you hear that, you're like, well, what am I going to get for $49 an hour? You're going to get pretty much anything we have that we can help you with in that hour. And mainly that's our combined years of experience in the industry, which is sad to say, probably over 50 years between the two of us. And it's hard because we're only 35. So, but we're going to get, they're going to get some of our experience and then some of the frameworks, just things that we feel like we can help people with that are under $1 million. Because if you're out there and you're in that ballpark, we want to see you win. We want the future of this business. As Jack and I are, our desire is to see the future of this business be sustainable and the young people that are getting into it to grow a really healthy, good business for themselves. So
absolutely.
That was my heartfelt.
No, I think it's sincere. So I'm looking forward to that hour. Again, we're starting at 11:30 East Coast time on that. So if you missed these events as well, we're recording it, doing a replay. I've got to get my verbiage up for the start of the call. So we'll record it. We're going to say, don't mention customers, no private information, but share the opportunities, share the challenges. We'll tackle it. And not only you and I are getting the experience that we bring to the table, what the benefit of us, working with, I think we're over probably 100 clients now we've probably worked with mutually together in the last, year or 2 years, is those experiences of those others we're learning from as well. So when they bring those opportunities, we have to tackle those problems together. So that experience that we're getting from others and helping them solve the problems, I think that's just enhances hopefully our overall value. But to be determined. Topic for today. Here's my topic for today. Give me your thoughts on it. You're hearing some rumblings out there. I kind of hear some rumblings, but I hear also things are kicking off. But those that are rumbling, Jerry, that are saying, "Man, things are slow. I'm just not seeing things." What are you hearing out there right now?
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of people who, people that are making transition from residential to commercial, people that are startup, people that are 10, $15 million, having a hard time with this time of year. Like there's nothing happening. There's no contracts being generated, hardly any tag work, any additional services. And so we're hearing a lot of that. And my encouragement has been, and you and I, we talk about this a lot with our teams, with our customers, is this is not it's not a McDonald's. You don't order something and it happens right away. It takes time. And so my encouragement has been twofold to people. Don't stop. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Keep doing the things you're doing. And the second one is, but why it's slow, it's a great opportunity to work on your business to increase that bottom line margin, whether it's policy and procedure or just a simple, like I mentioned yesterday to one of our customers, we had 12 vehicles, and when it got slow, I was trying to determine. Even let me be even more real with people. When I was under $1 million, I had 2 vehicles. They were both clunkers, and we did some evaluation of the one vehicle that got about 6 to 7 miles a gallon, and it was killing us on gas. But it was our carpet machine, and so we use it all the time. So I took a little bit of time, did some math, and realized it would be cheaper for me to go out and buy a new van, put that equipment in it, and get rid of this clunker. And inevitably, I know people would say, well, you spent money on a van, but on a monthly basis in that margin, I had money budgeted for a vehicle that I was just not using in my budget. So I was able to use that, but I was saving $150 to $200 a month in gas because I went from 7 or 8 miles a gallon to 19, 20.
Yeah.
So I was saving a ton of money in gas, where on the vehicle side, we had some capital we invested in, but then whatever's left, we had that. It's kind of like I told my kids, when you have a car and it's functioning and working, still pay your savings account a car payment so that when you get to a point where you got to buy a new car, you can pay as much of it in cash as possible, if not all of it. So the same principle.
No, I was going to go loop into that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, you're good. Go ahead.
That just came back on. I do the cleaning rant for those that are in the mentorship program. They get access to the cleaning rant. That's just me going off for 5 or 10 minutes once a week about some topic. But this is coming up this time of year. And Jerry, I think you probably maybe took advantage of this. This is above my skis for the most part. But someone says, like you said, I don't have that, or I haven't been putting money away for an investment, equipment investment. Well, that IRS Section 179 is something, if you're not familiar with, definitely look that up. But that's where you say, that piece of equipment I need to replace, that vehicle I need to replace. There are some tax advantages that if you can go out there and buy that vehicle, you can depreciate it all at once. So depreciate that all at once means basically you could avoid writing that off. You can basically write that off your taxes. And the angle with that as well, I don't have any money set up to actually buy that equipment. And I think that's where we had, a few weeks on back, Dimension Funding, is that they will make those loans for you with no payments for 90 days. And again, this is not a sales pitch, but this is just a strategy that, okay, I need this equipment replaced. I will have a high tax liability this year. If I could go out and kill 2 birds, get that piece of equipment, finance it, write that off my taxes. Again, check with your tax accounting. Boom, you just accomplished 2 objectives right there with one little move.
Yeah, and I think during this time frame, especially if you have capital, is investigating, the the principle of do I take that money and put it in my private account, and weigh the option between, do I weigh the option between capital gains and personal or and regular tax from for taking that money, or how do I reinvest it in the company through equipment or a vehicle, whatever it might be, to best benefit? And that's a great opportunity to get with your CPA as well and determine that. So,
Yeah.
but back to the slow, like things not happening. I think in general, in November, December, January in this industry, things do somewhat slow down. Now, every now and then you'll have this mad rush in December because people forget they have a January deadline of a new contract. So all of a sudden you'll get, a bunch of phone calls first of December to bid on things. But in general, it's kind of, this season is always somewhat slow, but it's a great time to work on customer service, work on, ask about tag work, ask about, hey, call your customer, say, I noticed your windows are dirty. Or carpets need to be cleaned. Did you budget for the new year to have things done? Leading them, guiding them, and helping them, especially if they're not a facilities manager, but they're just a manager of a site, and they're managing people, they're managing inventory, they're managing all kinds of stuff, and you just happen to fall under them. Give them information that would help them build their budget for the facility side, so that when they say, I need my carpet clean, I forgot to budget for it. What can you do for me? And so you're going in where you're trying to make $400 on a carpet clean, and you're like, they got $250. It doesn't work. So it's a good time to find those things inside of your customers' need list and make sure they're aware of them so they can build their budget around it. So I spent a lot of time doing that for smaller, I say smaller customers, but customers that had a office manager. A lot of medical facilities have an office manager, and they don't have a facilities person. She is that person.
Yeah.
And so he is that person. So that's what I spent a lot of time doing, and I generated some good business out of it. So
Yeah. No, I look at it like planting seeds. Again, there's two sides of those planting seeds, right? You've got new business, and what I call, or I've learned, I call SOW, share of wallet. So share of wallet is you want to get deeper in those existing accounts you have. But for both of those, new business and share of wallet, you got to be planting the seeds. It's not like these new cars that come out and when you stop them, they shut off and then they turn back on when you take off again. I think with your sales, I would really question if you say, hey, I'm having lags right now, I'm not seeing a lot of activity. Really open up and say, have I been planting seeds every single day for the last 6 months? Because you will get lucky and something will come up that if you plant a seed, it might happen within a week. But I always say that you've got to wait around 6 months. If you plant a seed today, it's going to take 4 to 6 months before that gets to some point that they're going to make a decision. And that's not always the case, but I would dare say that's the safe conservative thing. And if you're going out and only, Fridays I'll spend selling. Well, guess what? You've lost 4 days that you could be planting seeds. I'm not saying you got to go all in with selling every day, but every single day you should plant 2 to 3. And that's existing business, share of wallet, but also new business. Yeah. And I think if you keep that engine running and you figure the right tempo of, if it's 2 seeds a day I'm going to do, if it's, getting on LinkedIn, I'll use an example. We're right now pushing the exchange, and this is very humbling for me. I've got good connections along the East Coast, from Virginia north, but once I go south to the Southeast, just because my experience with where I worked before, and then go west, I lose a lot of my connections. And it's very humbling here at this juncture of someone in business 25 years, now having to go out, and I know my skill set, I know what we're bringing to the table, but I'm having to resell myself. And it's very humbling. And I think a lot of owners get to that point that I run a company. I'm the president of the company. I don't have a salesperson, but it feels awkward. But, I just basically jumped on LinkedIn, jumped on some emails and started firing them off. And, I planted 100 seeds, and, we closed a deal this week we'll announce it here the next month or so, but closed a deal with a national contractor worth $600 million in sales. So that would have never happened if I wouldn't just taken that and planted that one seed. Yeah. And it took 2 months to get to that point, but that's the thing I say is consistency of sales on both sides of the fence, new business and share of wallet.
That's what the 2 key words is Well, to me, the biggest word is consistent. Just be consistent. You can't, like you said, you can't, the first of the month I spent 1 day selling. I just haven't seen anything. Well, you have to do it
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form every day. And a lot of people don't realize selling might be going to a chamber event or going to a networking event and just introducing yourself or stopping by, when you go to a customer, take a flyer and go to 3 or 4 buildings right around them and say, hey, we do your neighbor and we really like our relationship with them. I think they like it, give us a shot, whatever it is. You've got to nurture those relationships. And there's a couple of friends that are in the business and they're larger companies, and they specifically go after stuff that's 10 million and above. I'm sorry, $10,000 a month and above. And they will tell you that process takes 2 to 3 years sometimes
Oh,
to be able
absolutely.
to get those. And
Absolutely.
so, um, be conservative with your capital, you know, so that you can weather the tough months, and be consistent in your sales, and it'll come. It'll come. It will. If you're talking to the right people and you have your ICPs, I pulled up my flyer from 2007 to show somebody yesterday. I was so proud of myself because we've been so focused on ICPs and helping people identify those. And on my flyer it says we service private schools, daycares, and medical Class A facilities, Class A and B facilities, and medical facilities. I thought, man, like I really nailed it on that. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was in that flyer. So
So
just
those
know
of
who
you who
you're.
know if you don't know what ICP is, that's ideal customer
Yeah,
profiling. Jerry and I
right.
preach that 80 to 90% of your efforts should be on those 3, maybe 4 basic market segments, like Jerry mentioned. What was the 3 you gave?
Class A, B, private schools and medical office space, and daycare was the other one. But yeah, go after those.
Yeah, but
Be
that
specific.
was his ICP for his market, and everybody has a different. Some people love restaurants; they want to go after restaurants. They're okay with working at 12 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning. But those ICPs, getting 3 to 4 of those identified, getting that sales engine consistently running, and going out there and again pursuing the share of wallet, pursuing the new business. And again, keep in mind, share of wallet is also referrals. We talk a lot about
Yeah.
referrals. Not too many people, not enough people go out to their clients and say, do you love what I do? Absolutely. Is there 2 or 3 other companies in context that you know of that own or manage or oversee the cleaning? Oh yeah, why? Well, you've never asked. Boom. If you do that, you're planting those seeds as well. So there's this engine that keeps running, and if you set the expectation that you've got enough in the pipeline, and you should be tracking that, like we used to track that, and I think we got down to that we had a closure rate of a 20%, every given month. So if we had 1 million in the pipeline, we knew that million, we would close 20% of that, not in a given month, but we know we close 20% of that, and we would prorate that out and say, this is what we should be seeing in new business. Now, the same avenue, and we can wrap up with this piece, I think, but as you're doing that growth, don't let the stuff fall at the back end because that's going
Yeah.
to kill you too.
Yeah.
So don't get so
Been there,
focused
done that.
on that. It's more costly to lose business after you want it because you're wasting all that energy
Yeah.
going out the door.
It's very hard to get. But it's easy to keep, just to have great customer service. Just and pay
Communications, we
attention
say all the
to it.
time, right?
Yeah.
Communicate. You
Yep.
communicate. The people who win business and keep business are the people who communicate better than the other.
Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah.
But so that's
Good
our
stuff.
rant. That's our kind of side rant on the Chasing Dirt show. Make sure to like and subscribe if you see some value in this. And again, we're getting this out. We're starting to get some traction on this thing. We are going to have off next week because of the ISA show. So we will be off and doing that. I will say, Jerry, I'm putting a goal myself to meet 20 new people, contractors in the business I haven't met. So that's my personal goal next week. And I think that's something that we should all have when we go to these trade shows is
Well,
what
they
is
all
that?
hang out with me. So if you want to come hang out, you'll be able
Freaking, I love it. I love it. Well, we'll be out there. We'll shoot some video and probably post some photos out there. But I guess we're going to start here in the next 10 minutes. Our first
Yeah,
inaugural class.
absolutely. Looking forward to it. So
Good stuff. All right. Well,
good
I'll see you on the
stuff.
backside.
All right, man.